Hey everyone, I want to follow up on the video I made a few days back about how the governor in Indiana signed into law a two-part law. One, it raised the age at which teens could get a driver's license. Number two, it banned teens under 18 from using a cell phone while driving. And I said in that video that I was totally against that. Well, I've had a bit of follow-up since then. I want to get a little bit more in depth. First of all, I talked to my brother about the law, and of course me and my brother are both obviously well over 16 years old by decades, but I asked him what he thought, and he goes, well, why the hell do you care about that? I said, well, suppose you were 16 years old, getting ready to get your driver's license, and the governor then would have passed a law raising the age back then. Would that have pissed you off? And he goes, well, hell yeah, that would have pissed me off. I said, okay, there you go then. That's why you care about it. I mean, what's the logic behind it all? And so then I pointed out to him that some states have raised their age for driver's license up to 18. And then his reaction was, well, that'll really piss a lot of parents off because they got to haul their kids around more often. And at least see when you're 16 years old, you get your driver's license in, hey, guess what? Your parents don't have to haul your happy ass around anymore. And also it makes it easier for you to get a job. I mean, most employers that hire teenagers, like fast food restaurants and whatever else, a lot of them will not hire you unless you got a driver's license. Well, if you raise the age of that, well, guess what? That makes it more difficult for you to get a job, doesn't it? At least I think so. And then I had somebody comment on that video about how a friend of theirs was killed in a wreck because they were text messaging on their cell phone while driving and had a wreck. Well, I was mainly referring to the part that the ban on cell phones that are 18 that he signed refer to cell phone use period, whether texting or just talking on the phone or calling. And I think if you call on the phone, I mean, you can talk on the phone and drive at the same time. I guess I really can't object to a law banning text messaging, because when you're texting, you're obviously not looking at the road. You can talk and drive at the same time, but I don't know about texting. Of course, I'm sure some of you might think, well, hell, I can text and drive together. So I don't know, but anyway, I was mainly talking about the talking on the phone and driving. And my points then against that law, and basically, I think the governor of Indiana showed extreme cowardice in signing that law and signing the bill into law. If he would have if he would have vetoed it, then I would have said, hey, he showed great courage and great leadership in vetoing that bill. I just feel it was unnecessary. I feel that any parents that support that think they ought to raise the age where teens can drive, I would ask them, hey, were you ready to drive when you were 16 years old? Did you get your license then? And if they say yes, I say, well, are you trying to tell me you weren't ready to get your license when you were 16? That you should have been restricted to it? So, and also keep in mind, though, that the issue should be left up to the parents, not up to the state government. I think that, if you're a parent and you feel that your kid at 16 years old is not ready to drive yet, well, then it's your job. You can keep him from being able to get his driver's license until he's 18 or 17 or 18. That's your job as a parent. You can do that. Doesn't that make sense? Why do you need the government involved in it? You might be thinking, well, I mean, my kid can drive at 16, but I don't think that my neighbor's kid over there that he said he's ready to drive yet. Okay, well, that's not your business. That's not your decision. That should be up to him, the kid and his parents, not up to the government. Now, you might think, well, there's too many kids out there having wrecks and everything, and too much wrecks and speeding and everything else going on among teenagers. I mean, they're too irresponsible to have a license at 16. Okay, if that's the problem then maybe the solution is to make the driving test a little bit harder. Make it a bit harder to get the license to begin with. In other words, if you're going to get a driver's license, also you have to know how to drive in order to do it, and you have to be able to show on that test that you know the laws and that you know how to drive. If you can't pass that, then also you can't get a driver's license. Maybe the solution there is to make it a little bit more difficult to get a license to begin with. Make it a bit harder if you want to get more safe drivers on the road. Now, it also involves that you might think, well, 16-year-olds are too immature to be out driving. Well, now, are you going to say that they're all immature, that it's blanket across the whole board? No, you can't do that. That's why you have laws out there for. If you get teens that are out there, for that matter, anybody out there drives recklessly and not obeying the laws and all that, then take away their driver's license. That's what that's for then. I mean, that should just don't like. You might think, well, you can have a lot less wrecks out there on the road if you raise the driving age up to 17 or 18 or whatever. Okay, well, my argument there is, hey, why not raise the driving age to 25? If you do that, you'll really cut out a lot of wrecks. Why? Because you have a lot less drivers on the road. You get less cars on the road, less accidents, less incidents. Doesn't that make sense? Okay, and somebody will say, well, you know, getting a driver's license at the age of 16, isn't that in itself an arbitrary age to begin with? Who chose 16 as the age? Why not lower it down to 15 or 14? Okay, people are going to ask that question, I'll answer it. Yes, I'd be quite nervous about lowering the age down to 15 or 14 or even lower. Yeah, I'd be nervous about that. But you cannot use emotion as a basis. Do not use feelings and emotion as a basis for making law. That's not a valid reason to do it. The reason why you make law is, are you violating somebody's rights or safety? Are you violating? Are you infringing on their freedoms? That's why you have laws to begin with. If you're going to pass a new law, ask, okay, without this law, are there people violating other people's rights and freedoms and violating their safety? If so, then yeah, make a law. You don't make a law just on feelings and emotions, though. So if I was in the state legislature and a bill, I would not ever propose such a bill, but if a bill came up for me to vote on that would lower the license down to 15 or 14, would I vote for it? I wouldn't feel comfortable about it, and my emotions and feelings would say, no, that's just a bit too low there. But remember, you don't use emotions and feelings to do law to begin with. So yes, I would vote yes on the law. I'd say, what the hell? I put the money where my mouth is. So so that's the way I feel on that. And as far as like the ban on cell phones and driving, like I said, most people, you can talk on a cell phone and drive at the same time. I know that some states have banned the use of cell phones and driving for everybody. And I think this is the first step toward that. I think there will indeed be more proposals in other states, including Indiana, that will want to ban cell phone use for everybody, which I'm totally against that. I use a cell phone and drive, and I can handle it just fine. I think most other people can too. And without teams, like I said before, if they're texting and driving, that's a whole other issue. But talking and driving on the phone at the same time, yeah, you can do that. I have no problem with that. So those are my further thoughts and feelings on the whole issue. What are your thoughts and feelings about it?